right, so I'm going to go ahead and start chapter 11 of Poison in the Colony. These children are rough and wily and prone to fist fighting. They've been gathered off the streets of London and sent as free labor. They are orphans, runaways, children whose parents are too poor to feed them and who thought they could eat better living on the streets. They begin to die almost immediately. They are sent to sleep in moldy tents or out in the open, some without even a blanket. Many are sent to the plantations upriver. All of them are put to work from morning till night, and there is no one to take care of them, to make sure they get their rations. One of the boys is different from the rest. He is 9 or 10, and so quiet I realize after a couple of weeks that I have never heard him speak. When they first landed, I heard the pleadings of an older girl. He wasn't even living on the street like the rest of us. He lived near the docks with his mom and dad. His mom sent him to buy a sack of flour, and they grabbed him and shoved him onto the boat. He needs to be sent back home to his mom or dad, but no one listened. And the ship set sail back to England without the boy. He is sent to work in the tobacco fields each morning, and I see him return in the evening, his face dirty and sullen. I sneak, following him outside the fort one evening at dusk, and see him curled up with a torn blanket, alone, staring at nothing and rocking his body to and fro. There is no food that I can see in his makeshift camp. Is he even bothering to get his rations? This is what life has given you, I want to tell him. You still have sunny days and the taste of food when you're hungry, and if you'd talk, you'd even have a few friends. You can't go back to England, but you can choose to be happy here. But I say nothing and creep away silently back to my own cottage with my noisy family and lit candles and freshly baked bread with boiled turnips for supper. 2 weeks later in the early morning, the boy is found cold and stiff in his blanket. Bermuda is sent to help dig the grave. When he returns to the fort, I meet him at the gates. We should have been his friends, I blurt out. I am surprised to hear anger in my own voice, as if I am blaming this on Bermuda. No, we couldn't, he says. He wouldn't talk. I kick at the dirt. I wish I had at least tried to talk to him, I say. I need to go put this shovel away, Bermuda says, and he hurries off before I can make him feel any more guilty. Of all the 100-odd children who came on that ship, the lucky ones are the older girls. The common men begin to court every girl over the age of 13, and soon we have weddings every Sunday. There is grumbling among the gentlemen and nobles. Why can't the company send women for the upper classes to marry? When Samuel doesn't find a girl to interest him among this new batch, I tease him. Are you going to wait to see if the company sends a duchess for you to marry? I ask. He laughs. I don't know when it's the right one, he says. There are more ships than ever these days, lots to choose from. I roll my eyes, if you'll ever choose, I say. A good thing about these new settlers is that one of the boys knows how to play the fiddle. We had a fiddle player in Jamestown, but he was shot in a hunting accident and died months ago. The new boy picks up the dead man's fiddle and immediately makes it come to life, playing songs that my parents say they used to hear at the street markets in England. There is often someone on one of the ships who has brought along an instrument, a lute, a recorder, a flute, or a small drum. The noblemen play their gentle lilting tunes on the lute, but the commoners, with their old beat-up fiddles, flutes, and drums, many of them won in gambling games, come together to make rollicking music. The natives who live among us join in with their drums and rattles, and the music makes my feet want to dance. Now, with a fiddle to lead the melody, the musicians join each other more often to play in the evenings after their work is done. I love going to sleep to the sound of the lively songs being played and sung joyously by a makeshift band. Shh! Samuel motions for me to follow him. He leads me to Governor Yeardley's house and pulls me to sit with him under the window. There is a heated discussion going on inside. Tobacco, that is all they sow, all they reap, all they want to grow, tobacco. Then comes the winter, and they must trade with the natives for corn because they have not planted enough. They are hungry and sick all winter, and many die for the sake of selling tobacco to England. And yet the money they earn cannot buy them meat here, it cannot buy them life. They are mad. It is Governor Yeardley's voice. It is a difficult life here, sir. Many of them want nothing more than to earn their fortune in tobacco, and to return to England to escape this place. What of the ancients? Why have they not returned to England? The governor asks. There are some who make their homes here, sir. Indeed, some who would have nothing but servitude to return to. Life here does not have to be so difficult, says Governor Yeardley. The orders have come from the Virginia Company of London to assign land to each family. 100 acres to each of the ancients, half that for the others. It is time for them to choose their land and prepare it. They will grow their corn and pasture their cattle. If they are growing for their own table, then surely they will sow more than tobacco. Surely, sir. And the orders have come for them to have all the rights of Englishmen. Each settlement shall vote and elect representatives to speak for them. This way, each man shall have a voice in his own governance. After that day, it is all I hear about. At the well fetching water, at the river washing clothes, walking through the fort, it is all anyone is talking about. We will have our own land. We will rule ourselves. Men who actually live in Jamestown and the outlying plantations and boroughs and know the people's needs will help to govern us. True, there will still be Governor Yeardley appointed by the King and a 6-member council appointed by the Virginia Company of London. But for the first time in Virginia, there will be elections. Men ages 17 or older who own land will vote to elect 2 representatives, or burgesses, from each borough and plantation. It will be a government of the people. I awakened to the sound of laughter in the street near our cottage. Laughter, loud talking in another language, and the rumble of bowling balls rolling along the dirt street. I rub my eyes. My father is already up. It's too early, I say, referring to the fact that the bowling in the streets is only allowed after our work is done for the day. It's the Polish workers, my father says. They're making it known that they will not work if they don't get to vote. My mother is sitting on the side of their bed, about to heft herself to her feet. This new baby will certainly arrive soon, as big as she is. The company won't be happy when there is no pitch or tar on that next ship back to England, she says. I don't see what's wrong with letting these men vote. They are not Englishmen, but they are Virginians. Alice kicks off the covers and I tickle her feet. Dad votes, she says, nodding solemnly. We all laugh. She, too, has been paying attention to this talk of voting and burgesses and of the land that my father and mother now own because they are anxious. My father ruffles her hair. Watch your mother today, girls, he says. That son of mine may just choose this day to enter the world. I smile at him. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the knowing doesn't work for me anymore now that God has taken it from me. Maybe my father will soon have a son. I open the shutters to let in the early morning light. Then I fill a bowl with porridge for myself and Alice and we eat together. My mother ties her apron over her large belly. You two, go get me potatoes and cabbage and see what is ready in the garden, too. Outside, I pull the wooden planks and the thick layer of straw off our storage hole. Inside are cabbages with their roots caked with dirt, still relatively fresh for having hidden underground all winter. The potatoes don't look as good, soft and wrinkled with long white sprouts. I put Alice to work breaking off the potato sprouts and go to see what the garden might give us on this spring day. I cut some turnip greens and pull a handful of radishes. Alice and I carry it all inside for our mother. A lump of salt pork, the last of our ration for the month, already sizzles in the stew pot. I love stew days. There will be enough for a full belly today. I give Alice a bowl of water so she can wash the radishes. Then my mother and I set to work peeling potatoes. Every once in a while, she stops working and closes her eyes, just resting for a minute or so. Go get me fresh wild raspberry leaves, Mom says. Fill the basket with them, and when you come back, we'll make tea. I remember the raspberry leaf tea from the day Alice was born. Only last time Jane made it. Shall I fetch Jane Wright as well, I ask? Mom shakes her head. No, not yet. I take the basket and run through the fort to the huge open gate. Where are you going in such a hurry? Thomas Sexton, today's guard, calls to me. Going for raspberry leaves, I say. I run past the fields where laborers are pulling weeds from around the young tobacco plants. At the edge of the woods, I see the raspberry brambles, but I'm drawn first to enter the quiet of the forest. I pick my way over fallen logs and tiptoe around the ferns growing close to the ground. Then I stop to let the peacefulness sink into me. The wind rustles a few leaves. A bird call echoes from the treetops. This is how I know I am more Virginian than English. English children have the treeless moors or the clamor of the streets of London, but I belong to the magic of the Virginia woods. Suddenly I hear a twig snap. I whip around to catch a glimpse of something white falling off behind thick oaks. It moves slowly, showing slivers of itself between the trees and vines. It looks like feathers? Could there really be a bird this big? I duck down low and creep along, following it, trying to get closer without startling it. This creature is neither bear nor wolf nor snake, and these are only things in the forest that could kill me. Still, my heart races. I feel every muscle ready to flee as my curiosity moves me along, following. Feathers, wings, huge wings. Am I seeing something from the fairy room? Or an angel? I draw closer and can see that the thing is walking on two legs. It moves silently, gliding. For a moment, I pay more attention to watching than to where I put my feet. I trip, crashing on dry leaves. The thing stops and turns. I expect to see beady eyes and yellow beak of this great bird, but instead I see what shocks me to my core. Its face is human. All right, so that was chapter 11, and I'll see you back here for chapter 12. Have a great day.